Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this video is being recorded. At the end, you're gonna have a choice between make it public. If you make it public, all the students will have access to it, or make it private at your discretion. Okay, so let's start with the first question
Mm-hmm.
for IELTS. How can people in the neighborhood help elderly during the epidemic?
So personally, I was volunteering during the coronavirus outbreak. Actually, I was doing it in non-systematic way by using different schemes in order to help elderly, such as purchasing fast-moving consumer goods products, taking aged persons to hospitals, and so on. Definitely, such outbreaks as COVID-19 are extremely challenging. That's why I think it's important. It's crucially important to help your community and mates who live nearby.
Yeah, my suggestion, keep an eye contact with the interviewer. The interviewer is me, if possible. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then we go for question three, we're going to be switching again. Is the environment important for people to get relaxed?
Um, so absolutely. The necessity of clear biosphere is very important in a situation when we have that extremely air polluted atmosphere. Personally, I believe that in order to relax and to without a doubt, environment plays an extremely important role in longevity of people's lives and if you just imagine clean grass and pure air fulfilling your lungs with oxygen and definitely you can relax in such conditions and feel yourself revived from hustle and bustle of big city.
Brilliant. Okay, so ask me the next question.
So the next one,
Three.
why do some people say happiness never lasts long?
Okay, I believe that people say that because, in my opinion, to my knowledge, happiness is connected to some hormonal spikes. Whenever serotonin is high, cortisol is low. Okay, those are hormones, and for some other neurotransmitters such as dopamine, we have a so-called happiness, and those hormones cannot last forever, no matter how hard you try. That's my opinion. Try.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Um, so, well, why do some people say happiness never lasts long? Let me think about. I suppose that happiness is such an abstract thing. We are not sure it truly exists because there had been held some surveys about whether animals are happy or not in their life. But about ourselves, we are quite sure that happiness truly exists. It depends on situation whether people feel themselves like on the wavelength of happy life, and I suppose that happiness definitely can be as long as your feeling of happiness is.
Your feelings are. Yes. So question
Yeah,
four,
yeah,
ask me.
definitely.
Question
Yeah.
four.
So, question 4. What will cars be like in the future?
Okay, so that's a $1 million question because if I knew I'd be rich by now, right? Because I'll simply implement this project and get rich. But let's suppose I have the answer for that. Computer is here to stay, so computers getting on board each time. So I believe cars in the future will have some kind of integration between artificial intelligence and computers and the cars themselves. So this is how I see the cars in the future. So try.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, So I cannot predict the future, and it's not a very useful approach just to know what's going to happen. But I suppose that we do not have cars in nearest future at all. So I suppose that we're going to use air vehicles and air taxis and it's like in Fifth Element movie. It's like a science fiction movie, and on the other hand, there are opposite points of view which are well known, and perhaps we're going to use zero emissions vehicles such as Tesla, and some examples of such cars are well known.
Excellent. I believe you have to make a bit shorter your responses, okay? Ask me the next question.
So the next one, do you use free apps or the ones you need to pay for?
Okay, just like everyone else, I believe I use both. As a rule of thumb, I just pay for those apps in which I can profit from. For example, YouTube. How do I profit from YouTube? I teach classes based upon YouTube. Therefore, I have a paid platform. The same for Grammarly. Everything else which is useless, I just don't pay at all. I don't consider they are worth my penny. So try.
So what comes to my mind that if you pay for something that's undoubtedly gonna be much better if you don't pay for apps are not applications are also in the same way, I think so. So I try to use some applications which are not so expensive and cheaper, and you know, you can purchase some options, some additional possibilities to have some to make your life easier, and to perhaps to prolong the life of your device. And for my opinion, so it's my personal point of view, I think that it's better to pay for than not.
Okay, let's go for the next question.
So the next one, how do modern technologies assist volunteers and volunteering experiences?
Okay, I got no clue about this one. I'll just hazard a guess. I believe that volunteers, they use their cell phones in order to conduct some surveys, to take some photos. So that's probably one of the best ways to employ the usage of technology. And also believe it when it comes to bank transfer. Okay, when transferring money from resources from one place to other, technology plays a big role in there. Try.
I personally, I think that volunteering is an extremely and potentially helpful activity, and that is why digital technologies can improve and boost such activity, and definitely by using different applications and some scheduling on Google Calendar. So to take for example this application, you can so volunteer can improve his or her work, no matter, and can help people. Can help people in the best way they can do.
Excellent. Next question.
So what is
7.
more and more people are unwilling to cook. Why is this happening?
Okay, I believe mass production is the key answer for this one. So as the industries grow bigger, they produce each time more products. Thus, the prices come down. So talk about processed foods. Also, processed foods are lower in price nowadays than they used to be in the past. So basically, it's cheaper for people to buy food from the supermarket, processed food, than cooking at home.
Mm-hmm.
Try.
Okay. My personal standpoint lies in the fact that nowadays it's much cheaper to buy something ready and perhaps food for taking away at the restaurant. Or cafe, which you like, than to cook by yourself, because when you cook, it takes time, and also it takes time not only for cooking but for cleaning and so on, for preparing and so etc. And definitely people live in such conditions when almost all citizens of big cities they are in hectic situations, and their schedules are packed with so many activities and meetings, appointments, and so on. So that is why it's easier and cheaper just to cook, not to cook by themselves, yeah, and to buy, not to buy products.
Brilliant. Next question.
Mm-hmm. So what makes some companies more successful than others?
Okay, I'm not gonna give you a cliche response such as good management or leadership. I do think that companies become successful because they cheat. Let me explain cheating. They lobby at the Congress, they lobby at the politics, they bribe authorities. So I strongly believe that network and bribery is basically are the main factors here. Try.
Mm-hmm. So I believe that all the factors are essential for longevity of companies and for their success. Such factors as leadership, know-hows, strong managers, and command of strong specialists. But as for me, I think that the most important thing is, and let me say, the crucial thing is luck and success, because we see lots of examples when company have everything to succeed, but they fail. And in such situations, I think that the important factor, which is definitely neglected sometimes, is success and fortune.
Excellent. Next question.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that people who live in large cities don't have a sense of community?
Yes, definitely, because, for example, when I used to live in big cities and small cities, as for big cities, they barely know their own neighbors. They don't talk to their neighbor next doors. Okay. As for small villages, for example, at this very moment, I'm living in Italy, in a small village. I can see kids playing um, in the street. Okay, I can see neighbors talking to one another. So I believe that small cities kind of create this good, friendly atmosphere of this sense of community in which everyone feels integrated in it. Actually, I witnessed this myself by living in 9 different countries. Try.
Mm-hmm. So to be honest with you, I quite agree with this with this approach, I think that people who live in big cities, they are more isolated from others, and especially they have not so much free time for chit-chatting purposes, or just to talk with strangers, because they have to earn money and to be in time, whatever they do, and that is why, because of lifestyle is much different from, if we make the comparison with the lifestyle in small towns and villages, and lifestyle is much different from that, and that is why. So this is true. I think so.
Next question.
Have you ever received a gift which you didn't like?
Well, oh my God, I think you should change this question to have ever received a gift which you liked. I basically never liked the gifts I get. Okay, so because people, for some reason, they just give me clothes, and I hate clothes. Maybe because I look like homeless. I remember when I was when I was 6 years old, I gained a Bible from my birthday party with from my dad. And how can a child ever like a Bible as a gift? So yes, so now you understand my point of view, yeah? Okay, now answer this question.
I have no idea what to answer about whether I had a gift which I didn't like at all, and so perhaps I don't remember such occasions, but definitely sometimes it happens that people present you something which you have already, and you are using it. So let's take, for example, you have some technically sophisticated device, and so a friend of yours or girlfriend gives you as a present so the same device of the same model, or maybe a little bit better, but in such case you don't need this gift. But it's like my just like my imagination only, because I haven't met these situations in my personal experience.
Okay, next question.
Do you think insects are useful?
Definitely not for me, but they are useful for frogs, for for lizards, and perhaps for some Chinese who eat them. And of course, Thai cuisine is based on insects. I heard they have scorpions. They serve scorpions and people enjoy them, but I will never dare try. Okay, so try.
I suppose that there are so many possibilities to use insects, because it's well known there are insects farm in Asia, so in Thailand or in Cambodia. I'm not sure about the location of that farms, but so they insects are can be a food source, definitely, and in the situation of enormously hunger, which can be worldwide, and people can have lack of food, and I suppose I personally I believe that insects could be a great substitute of real food.
Brilliant. Next.
Do people in your country send plants as gifts?
Not only in my country, but everywhere. And for some reason, there's this magic of flowers. Men always present or give flowers to women, and I never understood why. Why don't they give something more useful, like bananas, apples? I don't understand. What do women do with flowers? They basically see the flowers wither away in their jar at home. So they are useless stuff, and women like it. So yes, the answer is yes, but I don't understand why. No answer.
Um, so I think that this mainstream of presenting flowers as a gift is a little bit not so popular nowadays as it was perhaps 10 or 20 years ago. But sometimes people do it. So truly, what comes to my mind? So let's take an example. So I have given my mother some flower as a gift, so 2 or 3 years ago. Why? Because I haven't any idea what to give her as a present for her birthday, and that is why I did it. So perhaps giving plants as a gift is not a bad idea, and it's like a substitution for real presents, real practical presents which you can use for ages.
Brilliant. Next question.
So is there any artwork on the wall in your room?
Okay, I do excuse. Okay, I'm asking you to excuse me because I'm gonna swear a little. In my room, there's some shit work on the wall. You know, I rented this apartment, and my basically my landlord has a poor taste for things. But I have to accept, shove it. Sorry for the words. I apologize once again, but I have to simply accept everything that I'm seeing, and basically that's disturbing. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm not so into art and artworks, and definitely I have nothing on my walls, just paint, and it was it's painted in grayish color, and it was made before me. So actually I am renting apartment now for almost 4 or 6 months. But let's imagine the situation if I have the opportunity to buy something. I suppose it would be just scenery with some forest or some water or something like that, but definitely it's going to be painting, and so that's it.
Brilliant. Next question.
Is there do you like cakes?
Oh my God, now I hit my weakest spot. Cakes are as good as sex, and I have an orgasm each time I eat one, especially if it's made by Nutella. Have you ever tried? Okay, answer.
Yeah. Okay. So so it's not easy to find someone who don't like cakes. Everyone, I suppose everyone nowadays enjoys cakes, and because they give us a boost of energy, they increase the level of emotional hormones like dopamine and serotonin, and that is why cakes are wonderful. So on the other hand, it's very easy to eat them, and so they are tasty. So I'm a little bit foodie person, and Yes, definitely. I enjoy them.
Okay, so that's the key card. I will answer without preparing the key card, but if you want, you can prepare. So what's the key card?
Yeah.
The key card is something difficult you want to succeed in doing. So should I respond?
Yes. Yes, you can start.
Okay, so yes, actually, it's not something difficult. It's something impossible. I'm basically used to be a professional power lifter and even a professional bodybuilder when I was young. And nowadays I'm old. I'm 41, and I keep trying to chase the same weight that I used to lift back in the day. And basically, it's impossible because every time I get near or like 90% of the same weight that I used to lift up, I basically rupture or get some injury. For example, last time I basically ripped my tendons on the left arm. That basically set me to the hospital for 4 months, and I had to undergo some kind of 6 months physiotherapy. And sorry, I apologize for words again. That sucks, man. That sucks hard because I had this dream of competing once again. It's no longer possible. And I see that the trajectory in my life in order to achieve the same goals by taking steroids and growth hormones, among other types of drugs like carnitine and cardarine. Cardarine is a SARM. SARM is like some kind of substance that simulates hormones, but they don't use the same receptors as hormones, so they are not as dangerous as hormones. They don't have so many side effects. So yes, definitely chasing. That's the key. But it's just like overcoming death. You can never win this battle. So going back to my glorious days is nearly impossible. Only if I take the role of drugs. I might one day change my mind and go for it. But for the meantime, I'm a father and I must, you know, protect my children for anything, and so I don't have the luxury of getting sick once again. That's my answer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, try.
Mm-hmm. So I take 1 minute for
Yeah,
preparing
yeah, go ahead.
for preposition. Yeah, yeah.
Let me pee.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe the time is up.
Yeah, time is up. So to kick off, um, so it's definitely it's not easy to formulate your real sense of um, consciousness, and it's not easy um, to adequately understand what you want to succeed in some cases. So my case is the same. So I work as a commercial director at the moment, and I'm 37 already. But I feel sometimes I feel that I have some sense of not completed of not accomplishment of something in my life, and sometimes I'm not so let me say I am unsatisfied of my achievements especially in career, and I suppose that IT is now at the moment is on the mainstream, and I'm thinking about change my career in making an incredibly and unbelievable successful project in IT sphere, but definitely it's a very hard decision of mine, and I think it's not impossible, but it's really hard for me because I need I have an extremely excellent experience in selling projects, in selling products, also in managing, but I have no any experience in IT. I have no idea how it works because it's complicated, and I think it's complicated for anybody except people who work in IT sphere.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
So good. So there are no questions 3, as I can see. Yes?
You know, it's my fault a little bit because it's like there are 15 questions for a speaking part, but first of all, we had part 3. After that, we had part 1. So it's
Okay,
yeah.
so your answer, if you didn't have those you would be definitely a band 9. Definitely. As you had those, your score would be between 8 or 8.5. Should I make this video public or private?
Oh, as you wish. What you think? Is it an
I'm gonna
example?
show you around to other students if you want.
Yeah, why not?
So I'm stopping recording now.